session of the day. In your corner, the AI punch in sports. Our first panelist, Indrajit Bhalotia, held the title of India's youngest professional golfer at the age of 7 and is now the golfing guru of the city. He's the founder of Pro Touch Sports, passionately training youngsters in golf, advocating the expansion of golf accessibility across India and the introduction of sporting activities in schools. Our next panelist, Anuj Kichlu, is the CEO of Best of You Sports India, a football management company headquartered in Madrid that represents top world talents. Anuj works in the Southeast Asia market and handles player management and recruiting across the countries. Anuj is also on the FIFA Working Group for Agents Worldwide, the only representative from India and South Asia. Our third panelist is Shweta Brahmachari. She has been rowing since 2011, has participated in 18 national championships, and has won 15 golds and over 10 in other colors. She was the most appreciated bronze medal in single sculls at the 37th National Games. And she was also the first ever from Bengal to win a medal in this category. She has represented India in the World University Championship in China in 2018, Asia Cup in Iran 2022, among others. And she's also pursuing her BA after completing her MA in International Relations from Jadavpur University. Our panelists will be in conversation with Priyam Murray, who writes for My Telegraph, My Kolkata, The Telegraph, also by the My Telegraph, and is part of the core team of All Gap Communications. It is time for the session. Indrajit Bhalotia sir, Anuj Kichlu, Shweta, and of course Priyam. Manager, slightly more enthusiastic round of applause, everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the second session on AI and sports. Imagine it's the 2027 ICC Men's Cricket World Cup and Rohit GPT comes to bat for India. A scintillating combination of Rohit Sharma and the latest version of ChatGPT. Rohit GPT starts hitting sixes as easily as peeling vegetables. The entire country, instead of going gaga over Sharma ji ka beta, is obsessed with Sharma ji ka what. Now, ladies and gentlemen, artificial intelligence in sports is going to be worth close to $20 billion by 2030. That's more than the present valuation of Real Madrid, Barcelona, Manchester City, and Manchester United combined. At the same time, we all know that sports is about the principles of fairness, spontaneity, and unpredictability. Will AI go ahead and trump those principles? Will AI usher in the first generation of cyborg athletes? Or will natural ability remain the cornerstone of sports over and above artificial intelligence? To discuss all this and more, it's a pleasure to be moderating this discussion. My first question will be to my immediate left, Mr. Bhalotia. You already have started India's first AI integrated golf studio at Champ for Life Academy, which is in fact just a few blocks away here at Tollywood Club. Tell us how AI is already transforming how golf is played, how golf is taught.
So I think the biggest change that we saw when we got this AI technology was how detailed and how well you can analyze a golf swing. A golf swing is roughly around 1.8 to 2 seconds. And we used to have a state-of-the-art teaching studio from where you hit the golf ball. And we had 4 cameras there, one on top, on the ceiling, on the 4 sides. So we had 4 cameras which would analyze. So we would record a golf swing, and we had a split screen with 4 different swings, and we would analyze. And today, with the AI, what we have is we just shoot one video. We got rid of the entire cameras. We just shoot one video with an iPhone, which gets uploaded to a server, which is an AI server in America. And within a minute and a half, the entire golfer is turned into a mannequin, which can be seen from all 4 different directions. not all four, sorry, 360. So you could see from the top, from the bottom, from the left, right, front, back, any angle you want to. And each frame, that 1.8 second gets broken up into 300 frames. And each frame, you can analyze 64 different angles and positions in each single frame. So whether the knees moving, whether the shoulders turning, whether your left knees turning certain amount of degrees, certain millimeter, everything is broken up. So when you're teaching somebody who's really good, you can actually pinpoint millimeters of analysis at 0.001 second of movement. That's what AI has done to teaching for us.
And this is real-time data that you're able to get.
This is real time, right? It takes about 90 seconds depending on the internet speed. But within 90 seconds, the entire ball swing is transferred onto the AI platform and it's up and ready for you to analyze.
And if you can just give us a demonstration of how it's already starting to make a difference to players, be it young, be it old, be it professional, be it amateur players, in terms of little nuances that actually have a big difference in the final outcome.
It's huge. It's huge. Just a very simple example. You know, you have a golfer who's swinging and his shoulders are turning 78 degrees and his hips are turning 42 degrees. So we have an X factor where we actually figure out whether he's generating the maximum amount of power he can generate. And now I know whether his shoulders are turning 78 degrees or 82 degrees or 81 degrees. So every time I work with that player, I can actually make out whether he's improved 1% or so. So we know we're on the right track or not. So it makes life for the teacher a lot easier.
That's fantastic. Golf, of course, historically has been a sport that's been fairly open to embracing tech. Same can't really be said about football. And I'll come to Mr. Kishore now. Football, perhaps one of those very popular sports that's been resistant to tech for a very long time. We had goal line technology introduced as late as the 2010s. Then came video assistant referee, which has been extremely contentious. But in terms of artificial intelligence, are there certain specific areas of football, for example, strategy? So today, if you are a coach, if you are, for example, a Jose Mourinho, and you're trying to plan how to stop the opponent's team most creative player, can AI help you with that? Can AI help you also with scouting? If you're trying to hunt the next Messi in Argentina or the next Sunil Chhetri in India. So just shed some light on that.
Yeah, I think the first point you said, football is quite backward compared to a lot of other sports. Cricket had like crease line technology back in '92, and FIFA introduced goal line technology in 2011 in football. So football is almost 20 years behind cricket, which is surprising. India's far more advanced in AI started back then. In terms of decision making for referees, cricket started the third umpire, but the LBW, the catches and stuff like that was only launched maybe about 10, 12 years back. And football's now implementing it over the last 3 or 4 years. Again, is artificial intelligence taking over? I don't think so. I think it's just supplementing decisions. If you say VAR, it gives you decision making like goal line technology, which is quite basic. It's whether the ball crosses the line or not. But in terms of decision making, when there are 50-50 decisions, final calls always go back to the field referee. So it's more like the field referee is embracing AI to give you support whether the decision was right or wrong, but it's validating a decision. If it was 50-50, it's your call. So it's supplementing, at the same time, it's not taking over, I think. In terms of analyzing opposition and scouting, that's probably the biggest role that artificial intelligence has in football. Scouting is used. There are about 300,000 to 400,000 footballers around the world. So we only see the Messi going to Inter Miami or Ronaldo going to Al Nassr, which everyone knows is $200 million. But there are almost 30,000 football clubs around the world. 3,000 of them are quite big clubs. They run with staff of 80 people, 100 people. They have a team. They have probably youth teams, women's teams, all kinds of teams. And they are heavily reliant on AI now for scouting. So let's give an example. If the four of us in the board of a club, or let's say three of us, if you're the owner, he's also going to be the head coach. I'm the head scout, and she's doing the AI measurement for performance analysis. So when we're looking at a player to recruit, we'd say we're getting a player from the second level of Brazil, for example, and we're looking for a defender. What are the number of tackles he had? How many forward passes did he play? Which were his best minutes in the match? Did he have any Novice they shoot in the last 10 minutes of the match? Did he last an extra time? Is he good at taking a penalty under pressure? You put in all this data and she'll give you good feedback on that. Finally, the decision is going to come down to the coach, but the owner is going to validate that decision. So a year or two later, when the high pressure moves, a lot of millions of dollars involved, you're going to say, did AI actually match with what the coach and the scout actually thought? So if it doesn't, then there's pressure on the coach to listen to the AI. So it's not actually taking over, but it's supplementing your work and just providing a basis for putting in data, historical data, to try to get future results.
In terms of scouting and recruitment of players, can AI allow us to set predefined parameters? So I'll give you an example. In England, for example, in English football, they have had an obsession for several years with left-footed footballers. I mean, they produce great midfielders, but the moment somebody's left-footed, they tend to rave about them a lot more. So let's say today I'm Gareth Southgate and I'm looking to win the European Championships, I'm looking to win the World Cup. I want to find that next great left-footed English footballer. Can I put it as a parameter in AI that look for left-footed players with a creative bend, with a high ball rate, who are able to cross the ball well? Can that already be done, or is that something for the future?
No, that is being done. So when you look at data, look at particular positions, like you said, if you're looking at attacking player, and everyone always has right-footed players, you need a left-footed player. So the left-footed player is always going to be more on demand. So you're looking out for left-footer. If you're in England, you're probably looking at a 6 feet 2 inch player rather than a 5 foot 8 inch player. You're looking at someone who's probably from a cooler country who can play in that climate rather than someone who's from a hot country who struggle out there. So this historical data as well. AI measures the family origins, the history of your league, the success of your league moving to another league. So if it's a Brazilian player, what success would they have in England or what success would they have in India? Depends on the historical data that AI produces on the kind of background he's from. So they put all that in, but in the end it is, I think human error is always going to be there with AI as well, because it's just measurement of data and it's how you analyze the data and what you think of it. So you could have all the data in the world, but you can't measure how much pressure a player will play under and how he do. You can't measure how a person will play in a World Cup or how he do in the final of a big tournament. So that's AI just supporting that.
I'll come to Shweta now. Talking about the pure aspect of performance, we know that AI is an expert in analyzing data. It's been very useful so far in endurance sports such as rowing. In fact, there is a famous study where the University of Vienna collaborated with the Austrian Rowing Federation. That's produced some impressive results. As a rower yourself, where do you think AI can come in to identify the areas where you can improve? How can AI help you and athletes like yourself go to the next level?
So what I feel, I believe that AI actually holds a lot of power in enhancing our entire athletic performance. But coming to AI in rowing, we already have AI that analyzes the data from the different equipments that we use, the biomechanical data that are collected, which helps in helps us to reach the optimal efficiency in each stroke or maybe an entire workout. But what I'm really looking forward to use from AI is its predictive model, which is basically our international rowing championship is of a 2 kilometer, it's a 2 kilometer race. So in a 2 kilometer race, how much, as Melodia sir was saying, that at what degree our catch angle is in the water, the degree at which the oar is entering the water, or the degree or the angle it is forming at the finish. All of these matters in a 2 kilometer race, because if in one stroke we are losing 1 second, so in a 2 kilometer race it goes up to 200 seconds, which is more than 1.5 minutes. So because I'm a single sculler, it's a 8-minute race internationally. If I see the records, it's an 8-minute race. But if I keep losing 1 second per stroke, it goes up to 9.5 minutes. So I'm probably just way behind everyone. So I would like to use this predictive model of AI, which will help me save that 1 second or determine what angle, if I'm at the right angle at my catch or my finish, or at any point of the stroke where I'm not at the desired angle or desired position, that is, not benefiting. So if we get the opportunity or that kind of model here in India, which is not that much prevalent yet. So I would like to use that in that way.
Right. In terms of just let's say your daily upkeep as an athlete, in terms of nutrition, health, fitness, there's definitely a role for AI. Where do you see that panning out? Like, is it something that your coaches already tell you? Are there devices or the technology using AI that helps you regulate your diet, that tells you, okay, you should wake up at this time, you should go to sleep at that time? Essentially, AI already functioning as sort of a lifestyle coach.
Yes, AI not, I will not say that it is a rowing equipment, but there are certain health equipments which help us regulate or check our real-time blood sugar level in our phone. There are devices now that we can, like put in any part of our body, especially the arms, and it gives us the real-time effect of the food that we're eating and how much blood glucose it spikes. So if we know that suppose I am having oats for breakfast at 8 a.m. in the morning and it is giving a glucose crash like an hour later or something, if I set those parameters in my mobile like in the app, then it will say that my glucose level is crashing. So I will try to improve my diet. Maybe I will not have oats with milk, but I will have oats with water or add honey or improvise it that way. Similar with the other meals of the day or at what time I'm eating. So it is like it's not a one-day process, but like within 7 days of using that device, we come to a level where we understand that what food at what time is good or not, and then we can improvise our diet.
Natalie, do you feel data burnout? Do you sometimes feel there's too much information and all you just want to do is go out there and do?
At times, but being at that competitive level, I think data burnout is not a thing that we can afford at this moment, but we have to keep that in loop so that we are at par with the other players.
Of course. The next aspect I want to get to is the aspect of fairness. Now, we all know that AI is a resource at the end of the day. It is contingent on money, it is contingent on finances, and there are great inequities in sports. Cricket is a great example. Look at the three leading boards, England, India, and Australia. They essentially monopolize a large section of the funding in the sport. In football, the same happens with the upper echelons of European football, although now the Middle East is coming in and having its say. Where do you think, going forward, the debate on fairness and AI comes into play at two levels? One is at a resource level of, okay, if you have a lot of money, you have a lot of AI, you have a lot of potential to have greater sporting outcomes. At the second level, the involvement of AI in just telling human beings what to do. Should there be a boundary? Should there be a borderline? So maybe we could start with you on the aspect of AI and fairness.
I think in today's world, whether it's sport or in any business or any aspect of life, everyone tries to get the best, and you will take advantage of the technology or the AI or whatever is available to you. So it's only fair that whoever has access to that kind of technology or that kind of data, that kind of coaching, training, facilities, they will do well. So I think that's what the whole world is about. So why not in sport? And I think every country today can afford to have their have a budget where they have that kind of training facility, which includes everything. It's not only about AI, but it's also about the kind of field you have, the kind of, I'm sure, the boards you get, every single aspect. So it's I think competition is that you have you try and get the best, and if you can't get the best, then it's too bad.
After that,
Yeah, I think now AI is going to be part of sport, and to be honest, it's not very expensive. I think, like at least in football, majority of football clubs around the world can afford it. So an AI resource would probably be the software and one person monitoring it. Of course, as the club grows into the club which has 20 teams instead of one team, they might need 5 people instead of one person. But then now the outsourced agencies that manage AI for clubs, so you could have an English Premier League club with Man United and Chelsea having AI resources, or you could have a second level club that uses the outsourced agency which provides them exactly the same service that Man United or Chelsea get at a fraction of their cost. So I think everyone's getting that resource. It's not an unfair advantage. It's something which is going to happen. India, in fact, is launching AI in football next year. So there's probably going to be the league across all the teams. So they all have the same kind of facilities. Again, if you go from different levels, if you go from professional to amateur, it's going to be a big difference. So you can't compare professional to amateur. They won't have the same resources. But when you're playing at the same league and you reach the top level, I don't think it's going to give too much advantage. You just have to do the best you can. Yeah.
Shweta, I'll just reframe it slightly for you. Would you be aggrieved if, let's say, you had another athlete who had maybe another coach who had far superior AI facilities to you and that ended up being the difference? Or would you say that that is also a part of sport now, the fact that somebody with more resources can have more edge because of more AI?
Somebody having edge because of more AI, if I'm losing to that person, obviously I'll be disheartened. But if I think we cannot control that if someone has the resources to get the correct training pattern or method. But if I am the person who is getting all the benefits, then I would say that it is of a great help because getting the personalized training that AI can give, which is basically periodization based on the rest or recovery or personal physiological factors of how your training program should be or how your race strategy should be. If AI is helping in making that, then I think it is not that much of a negative aspect.
No, I'll just add on that. There could be, an example, not AI, but at some point there will be some kind of regulations around something which give undue advantage. Like in swimming, years back they started the full body suit for swimming, which streamlined your movement, and then they cut back on that a few years back and said you can now, for men, only wear up to the knees because an American swimmer would wear a costume for one event, get an undue advantage of 0.01, win a race, and that costs $2,000-3,000, and others couldn't afford it, so they cut back on that. But that's individual sports that have to manage the kind of outcome. But in general, I think AI will just keep on picking up.
Just to add on that, also as Sarja said, because AI also makes training programs that minimizes the risk of injury. So if suppose an investment in AI is cutting down on the cost, medical cost, so in that way it is better. So like in a way that we go for a healthier lifestyle because it will in the long run, it will save us from diseases or other kind of orthopedic problems or maybe something like that. So AI in sports is I think such kind of investment that in terms of injury, risk of injury, if we use AI in the correct way, then maybe in the long run, the medical cost will also reduce. So one investment is saving from another.
Yeah, that's a great point. Mr. Kishnu, in football, has there been any talk about regulation around AI? Maybe, looking at certain areas in which AI cannot interfere or perhaps outlining a certain budget. I know it's not been formalized yet, but are there conversations happening around that?
Not been formalized. I don't think too many conversations around AI not being allowed. It's more about technology not being allowed. For example, in football, you can't use a phone up to 45 minutes before the match till 30 minutes after the match. So that gives an undue advantage. I know, like in hockey, 10 years back, I went and watched the World Cup match. There's a guy in the tower giving analysis to the coach with a headphone, and he knows, obviously in training, he knows a match is 60 minutes. The person is going to be at his prime for 30 minutes. On the 20th minute, he's telling the coach, this guy is deteriorating, take him off. He's bringing him off, giving him a 2-minute deal, putting him back on. So that's data which is there in certain sports. I know in football, they've not allowed it because they feel that bigger clubs will have an undue advantage because instead of just one guy in the tower, they might have a full backroom staff working in the club, giving them data as the match is going on. So there's no technology actually allowed on the bench. Everything is after the match, before the match, at your practice sessions. So there's not actually been any regulation around it as yet.
Interesting. When it comes to golf, we know that golf essentially is a sport of patience, right? You're actively playing the sport for a very small section of the entire day of the golfing action. So do you think that while your tournament is going on, while you're actually playing on the course, this exposure to data, this analysis can actually make a difference? And should it be allowed to make a difference? If you're on the course, should you be able to get access to data of what the other players are doing, of how the course is playing, in order to improve your chances on the day?
So you're not allowed any cell phone, any headphone, anything when you're playing a tournament. So that is out anyway. So you can't even use a cell phone when you're playing a tournament, nor can your caddy. So there is no question of using any kind of data, and golf being an individual sport anyway, it's not going to help you. But I think just adding to this whole thing, what artificial intelligence is going to do is give you that edge on technology, how to use technology, what will improve. So if it comes to cricket, AI will help you design a cricket bat where the edges will fly for sixes, or an off center contact will make the ball go faster. It will help a bowler bowl in a way where he will not get injured. He will maximize his potential. So this is where AI is going to come in, but it will never replace a mental toughness situation where you've got to hit a four on the last ball and somebody's bowling at you. AI can't do anything for you. So I think AI will always have that limitation in sport.
I want to come to the aspect of AI and human beings working in tandem during a match. Now, I know you said that in golf that can't happen, but let's imagine a situation in cricket, for instance, right, where the batter has come out to bat, the bowler's there, and there is an AI chip or a brain chip developed by Elon Musk or whoever else. And the batter has complete access to what the bowler is going to do. Like ideally, as Mr. Kishnu said, there would be a pre-match and a post-match analysis, but there is an analysis that's taking place in real time. The chip is being able to analyze all of that. The batter can anticipate where the field is moving. Similarly, the bowler can anticipate. Maybe they even have access to the data points of the fatigue levels, the energy levels of each other. Do we want a world like that? Do we want a world where sports becomes so incredibly quantified?
I don't think that's ever going to happen. So I don't think if you're going to play a sport, a professional sport or any sport where people are competing, they will be allowed to use technology that way. So, unless you can hide that chip in a way where you don't know the person has got a chip on him, it will never be allowed in sport. And I don't see that happening in cricket, tennis, golf, I'm sure even football, where you will be allowed to have it's like, if you put it in a very raw and primitive way, it's like having your headphones on there. You never find a cricketer or a footballer batting or bowling or taking a penalty kick with headphones on and listening to some calming music or listening to some positive talk, right? So if you're not allowed that, then why would you can't imagine having a chip there giving you instruction or data. So I don't see that happening in sport, not in the next 100 years at least.
I like to see Ronaldo take penalties with chance of Messi playing in his head. But the fans do it for him anyway. Do you want to add on to that? What would you like to see it? I mean, of course, there's the question of feasibility, there's the question of whether it will be allowed or not. We all know that after a point, a certain amount of money and power comes into sports, strange things do happen. But would you like to see it?
No, definitely not. Would not like to see that. But I don't think it will ever happen because the opposition will not allow you to do that. So when you say you want to measure the performance of opposition, then you never allow that. So I don't think this is ever going to happen. But you actually go back to natural intelligence and it's there anyway. So if you're in a boxing fight and everyone knows that this guy is going to land 100 punches and hit me on the 101st one, but they're thinking and you already know that. So I think people are measuring the opposition before the matches, after the matches, and they know enough, which is as good as AI without having to have that AI. So I don't think that's ever going to come into sport.
Shraddha, would you be tempted to know while you're competing as to the physical vitals of your opponents?
I will not support this kind of e-doping anyway. But
I like that. Yes.
But if something says that someone who is ahead of me in a race, but they are actually losing their endurance, and if I pick up, I can catch them, I think I will use it, but I don't want my opponent to have that.
Now let's come to the consumption of sports from a viewer's angle, right? From an audience angle. We know that already even, let's say when the IPL is going on, you can look at the action from 100 different angles, all these different cameras, all these different languages, all these different data points. Are you excited as a viewer, as a consumer, as somebody who's interested in sports, to see where AI can take sports broadcasting, sports consumption, even sports marketing? What are your insights on that? We again started this sort of.
Yeah, I'm the first one to go every time. Okay, so I went to a cricket match recently. I think maybe a couple of years back, India, Bangladesh having the pink ball test match. and I've been to a live cricket match maybe thrice in my life. But I went to this cricket match and I missed almost everything because suddenly someone got out and there was no replay and there was no analysis and nothing. So, I didn't have a great experience watching a live match because you're so spoiled watching any sport with so much of analysis, replays, super slow mo, what he's done, how he's done, every single detail, and then you're watching a live action. Okay, the atmosphere may be different, but you miss everything because you have to concentrate, keep looking at the match. So today, I think AI and technology has made watching a sport much more pleasurable sitting somewhere where you can see a replay and you can see everything that's going on, how much the ball actually spun to get the guy out. And then when you're watching it live, it just gets over and you don't even realize something's happened. So I think it's a no-brainer when it comes to technology and AI.
Yeah, Sibyl, I enjoy going to the stadium and watching matches, but the experience of watching football at home sometimes is much better than going to the stadium. They're saying about 3 or 4 World Cups from now, so around about 2038, they actually want to incorporate where you could wear 4D glasses, sit in your house and be in the center of the field of a football match at a World Cup, almost standing out there and watching the players pass around you at their height, kicking the ball up in the air. So that's the experience that they're trying to get into broadcast. Obviously, from a spectator point of view, that'd be incredible. I mean, I'd pay anything to be in the center of the ground, sitting at home with my glasses on and watching Ronaldo run past me and kick a goal. But at the same time, will that actually affect the attendance in the matches? That's also factored in. Right? So, as it is, if you see people who would watch Premier League football, they will not watch Indian football, so you struggle to go to the stadium. Would an Indian fan ever go to a stadium again to watch a match over here when you could watch the best players in the world standing in the center of the ground in England at your house? So there are some factors that come into play. Obviously, broadcast is going far ahead of ticketing in terms of revenue. So that's going to be the future, but you have to measure the kind of cons in it as well.
Shweta, I mean, just before you start, let's face it, rowing as a television sport isn't particularly exciting. I could say the same for football. But do you think that these elements of AI and technology can make it more exciting for an audience who otherwise may zone out from a particular context midway through?
As rowing or golf, the slowest sport takes 8 minutes to complete a 2 kilometer race. So obviously it is not as exciting. But if there is an AI that gives a real-time update of what the rower is thinking or going through while in a race, I think that will interest the audience more. But in speaking of more popular sports that gains viewers, I think if when someone from the India team messes up catch in a crucial match, then the entire nation goes like their heartbeat stops. But what if, like from the marketing point of view, what you were saying, that if some advertising company, suppose pharmaceutical advertising company gets hold of the data, what the player who missed the catch was thinking, and then start selling a product saying that you can beat your anxiety if you have this. And then that can be a great marketing gimmick, but I know that will be not fair. So using that for your own personal development is okay, but using that for marketing any product, I don't think.
Indeed. In fact, we could potentially be at a stage where all these AI goggles that are now coming out are actually given to you as a supplementary part of your experience of watching a match in the stadium. So imagine you're in the stadium, but you're wearing these goggles because, as you said, today if you go and watch a cricket match and if your seat is not great, you do miss a lot of the action. Same for football, right? And I'll just quickly ask the audience, how many of you would like to go to watch a match at a stadium wearing your AI goggles, knowing that you'll get access to real-time data, replays, maybe even some better camera angles, but you're in the stadium and you're wearing AI goggles? How many of you would be up for that? You would be? Yeah. Okay. Well, it's a very slim minority, but maybe once you
About a couple of years back, I took my son for his first stadium match here in Salt Lake, and India versus Hong Kong, the football match, and a goal is scored, and his reaction was priceless because he was almost expecting a replay to happen, and that didn't happen. I don't want to miss that, miss out on that. Whatever. I'm sitting in the comfort of and I don't want AI classes to sort of relive that moment because that moment is priceless. It's as it is happening. So I don't think AI classes go with the stadium experience.
Absolutely, I completely agree very firmly with the majority in this room. Before I open it up to the audience for questions, I know you've already touched upon certain concerns, certain possibilities, but at the core of it, when you think of it yourself, if I could ask each of you to identify the biggest reason of excitement and the biggest reason of concern with relation to AI and sports. So maybe we reverse the order now.
Yeah.
So we start with Shweta.
My biggest point of excitement would be the periodization, as I was saying, that keeping in taking consideration the physiological factors of every individual or my lifestyle, then the injuries that I already have probably, or the time that I can give to a sport being a full-time teacher or a professor. So I would like to have a program or training personalized for me in that way. So that would be a good use of AI in rowing. But my point of concern will be the bionic chip or something that we were speaking about, that if anyone has that, they will have an unfair edge in a race, because even if they are behind us, but they get to know maybe by the waves of the water that can understand that someone ahead of them is slowing down or losing their endurance, and they pick up from there. I think that might be a point of concern.
I think the biggest advantage would be this accessibility to all. So I think with AI, costs will obviously come down in the future. It's not like people won't have access to it. It will make even someone treating their injury in Torrance Club on the golf course doing rehab will get the same kind of video analysis and benefits that you could get at the best place in the world. So I think the exposure and the kind of reach you get is going to really pick up. The biggest issue I feel will be, again, other than having the chip in the brain, which obviously you don't want, would be, will it affect participation, either for fans, like we said, if too much of AI will it affect the participation in stadiums? And also participation, if it goes too much into amateur sports and you will actually rule themselves out at some point of data. So if you have a 7 or 8-year-old kid and it's too much of data and someone is just going to play tennis or play golf and they're playing it for recreational purposes, the parents want to send them there and they start comparing them with a 7-year-old wonder kid in the US and they think, I'm never going to reach that level, they just stop playing that game. So that would be a big concern, I think, in the future. Like I was playing tennis yesterday, I played really bad tennis. I thought I won a set like Federer, but suddenly if I see I serve like 100th his pace, I'm going to throw the racket and never play again. So will that become an issue in the future? It could, because especially for the youth, I think too much of data at a very young age, it might help you at a special level, but probably it will kind of become like a negative setback.
I think the advantage is, with AI and technology, people will perform better, and I think most records in every sport will break. I don't think there's any sport where someone did something in the 90s or in the early 2000s. Those records will definitely tumble, because one is training will be a lot more personalized, a lot more scientific, as well as equipment will get better. I don't really see any flip side to technology, because as far as I'm concerned, I don't see chips going into people's heads and people getting instruction during matches. That in no professional sport that will be allowed. I don't see that happening. So I don't see any disadvantages such, but it will definitely change. It will improve the equipment. The cricket bat will get better. The hockey stick will get better. The tennis rackets will get better. Of course, every sport, they have a limit. So like a golf ball can only travel that much under perfect conditions. So you will not be allowed to make a golf ball which will go further than a certain distance. Same thing with different sporting equipment. There will be limits that are set, and every manufacturer will try to touch that limit get as close as possible. The same way, the human body will learn to train in a much more scientific way with AI. The performance, the strokes, the shots, everything will be much more improved with AI. The data will be better, so people will perform better. So I see an advantage. And just like a cell phone, if you see a smartphone today, even the rickshawala has a smartphone, the beggar has a smartphone. And the guy is begging, but he's got a smartphone. 15 years back, that wasn't the case. So same way, AI is going to be there for everybody. I think eventually it will be just free. Anyway, I think most of the basic AI is free. And it will get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. So I think 10 years down the line, every single, even someone who's playing para cricket will have access to some kind of AI which will help him. So this is the way it's going to be. And just one point I wanted to make, sport, artificial intelligence will have the least effect on sports because you still have to go out there, you still have to compete, your heart will be beating fast, your knees will be feeling wobbly when you have to perform under the gun. And that I don't think any technology or AI can change.
Absolutely. Imagine you're 10 years down the line, you're playing para cricket, and then one of your friends doesn't join you because his internet is not working today, so his chatbot can't tell him which houses to avoid and which classes not to break. On that note, we'll open it up to the audience. If you've got a question, please raise your hand and the mic will be passed around. Question there.
Good afternoon, this is Aima from IMED. I want to talk about the business of sports. So how can AI-driven innovations in sports marketing help, particularly with sponsorships?
The answer to your question is not very clear. It's more specific.
Sorry. I wanted to ask, how can AI aid in sports marketing, especially with sponsorships?
In terms of maybe helping sponsors identify, like today, if you are, let's say, a cement company, right? And you don't know which club in the or which franchise in the IPL to approach. Can AI actually help you with that, or and can it also happen in the reverse where you're looking for a sponsor and
Probably a bit for the company who wants to sponsor, not so much for the sport itself, but for the ones who want to sponsor. Obviously, AI does fan behavior, certain fan, what kind of profile of kids are coming out for matches, how attractive are matches, what they use to target age group. So obviously, that data, the company will measure it somewhat, and they will get some kind of feedback about how much their sponsorship will actually help their brand. That will go completely out of the sport, more towards marketing and branding, so I don't really have much of that.
sure.
With AI, is there any way to ensure that technologies that are available are going to help India win or even qualify for the World Cup football?
I think we have more footballers at the Maidan than some of these European countries have their population. So that's a baffling, but just to put this in a little different perspective, if you see this little boy who won 2 medals in the Olympics, riding Agarwal, Asian Games. Yeah, Asian Games. And then you have, Neeraj Chopra. They're all going and training.
Those are individual sports.
No, but no, I'm just coming to that. So all these top athletes who are doing well, they're all going to Germany, Australia to train. Right? The same way, a football team for the entire football team, maybe it doesn't make practical for them. But why is that happening? So if we have to do well, I mean, whether India has to qualify for the World Cup in football or an athlete has to do well, they have to learn to train in India, and we have to have. If we are spending 2,000 crores on Sports Authority of India, we have to have not only the practice facilities but also the technology, the know-how, the coaches, everything here. It doesn't make sense to spend so much money and all our top athletes are training outside. So there's obviously something wrong, and the same goes for football. The reason why I use these people as example is that any athlete who goes out and wins medals for us, you will see they're training outside the country. And it would probably apply. I don't follow football at all, so I can't really say, but it baffles me when I pass the Maidan and I see like 10,000 people playing football out there, and we are 110 in the world. So I really don't have an answer for that.
I'll come to that. I think your main concern is that India's 100 and the next World Cup will be 40 ranks. They're not going to get there for sure. I think as India is improving, they're also using artificial intelligence to some extent, so is every other country. So it's not like everyone's watching us and waiting for us to improve. For every improvement in India, there's equal improvement in every other country, the 99 countries ahead of us. That being said, being such a big nation with such a big population, people keep on saying that we have such a huge population, why don't we have the best cricketers, best footballers, best hockey players in the world? The actual number of people getting that resource, like Indonesia said, is probably like in football, it'll be 30, 40 players in the country who have the resources to go and play in Europe, and 400 who are playing professional. So today in India, there are 400 professional players who make a full livelihood for their full family in India, compared to England has 3,500, and England is a far smaller country. England has about 3,000 academies, India has about 40 academies. So the basic infrastructure has to be here, the basic facilities have to be here, and then the AI will step in and investment in that will improve the ranking. But if you don't have the basics, the AI is not really going to help you too much.
I was just going to say what you were saying, that AI is far-fetched because before that there are other steps that we are yet to cover, like including everyone in the teams or giving everyone a fair chance, and there are a lot of other steps before AI comes in. So in a more generalized view, I think that is there.
I think on the matter of the Football World Cup, the women from India will probably take us there before the men do. We actually look at the stats and the rankings. Any other questions from the audience? Yes, there are two hats, so maybe.
Hello. Hi, Rajit. How are you? I've known you many years. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Colonel P.P. Singh, Prabhu Pratap Singh. I'm ex-army. And I've been participating in Asian Games and Olympics of official since many years. I've done 3 Asian Games, including the one in Hansa. This is my 3rd Olympics in Paris. Now as organizer and administrator, and I've done 3 World Championships. I work with horses, equestrian. I have a slightly different view and some information to share with you, perhaps which you are not privy to. The AI is already there in sports. AI has made difference majorly in 2 fields in the world, that one is medicine and the robotics in the manufacturing industry and sports. The chips are already there. The chips are already inserted, the horses of the chips. We are working with the program in the Olympic Association, World Olympic Committee, IOC, and Federation Equestrian International, Switzerland. I live there, I live in France. So I had to leave India so that I could enhance my qualifications. Where AI is predicting even the results. What the AI has brought us to today in the world stage is the ethics. You can today predict very accurately to 0.001% who's going to be the winner of this tournament. First 10 places are already given, and we are already analyzing how they are. When we are analyzing the data, okay, are they exactly what is happening on the ground? And you'll be surprised, in the last 2 years, they're exactly the same. And I officiated all over the world at the world tournaments. And this has become compulsory from the world body to have this data onto the horses. So the chip is into the horse, and they wear all the halters and everything to monitor it. AI is very much there. What we are discussing here is at a very basic level. The AI in the world has reached immense proportions. You'll be very surprised. This brings us to the question of ethics. Believe me, there is an AI mafia. They are holding sport to ransom by predicting the results. They're also telling sponsors and the world bodies and the organizers, because a lot of money is involved in the international tournaments, not to field few athletes and horses because they don't stand a chance. And then the betting starts, the unauthorized betting in India, but it's authorized all over the world. Even in Olympics, World Championships, the betting is there. I was there in Hong Kong, I was there in China. It's absolutely legitimate. And that is where the AI mafia is coming into being. So, we are very far ahead in AI. In India, yes, we are still not seeing it. Our exposure is very, very less. And you were discussing why all the athletes are going abroad, India lacks the infrastructure, basically. You said it. We have to put in more effort into building our infrastructure, basically. It's just not opening the purse strings, it has to be brought here. We lack a couple of things. Is the physique, firstly, of the colder players, of the countries from the colder players from the cold countries. The horse flesh, like I'm talking about mass sport. And the techniques and all. There are 5 stars, the 5 categories progressively in equestrian. Entire Asia, which has the maximum population in the world, finishes at 2-star level. In Europe, the 2-star level is still the training competition. We have not even reached beyond 3-star. I've been trying. I've been part of the Asian Equestrian Federation chair for eventing and massage. We don't even have a single qualifier for Olympics in Asia. I'm not talking about India, in entire Asia. You have to go abroad to qualify. We do not have a veterinary protocol with the rest of the world. We cannot take our horses to compete anywhere outside India. So by force, the people have to go abroad, lease horses or purchase horses and train there along with the AI, because they are only authorized to move from there. Yes, it's very, very cost prohibitive otherwise. And we are doing wonders. We are producing excellent riders, but unfortunately, all the riders, whether it's Wal Mirza, Dr. Hasnain Mirza's son, who checks your horses here, whether Anush or Calcutta both, we are all abroad. And for ages. You have another boy from Tolly Stables, which is in Europe. They are using AI in horses, you are saying. The simulators of the AI on the horses are there. You can do your entire training sitting on a stool with that tool. AI has invaded every sphere of the sport today. And like I told you, the chips are there, they're already inserted. The data is being monitored in a real-time basis. And it is being used, where I'm saying about the ethics, to manipulate your results. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
My name is Harshita. Do you think that AI can be used to devise strategies and can potentially replace the traditional coaching roles in the long run?
Absolutely, because it will predict, the weakness of your opponents as well as your strengths, and also give you trends of how your opponents perform under different circumstances at different stages of a match. So it's going to play a huge role in your strategies as well as preparation against particular opponents as well as teams.
It's the same. I think it's going to be. It's already playing a huge role in football, in cricket, in team sports. There's a full management team around AI which is taking decisions. So probably they're replacing a whole lot of scouting and coaching stuff. But at the same time, the human element has to come in also. So it's a mix of both.
I think the prediction model for AI is interesting. I was reading somewhere that ChatGPT was asked to predict the results of this year's IPL. All it could say with certainty was that RCB won't win. We'll see if that's how it turns out. Thank you so much to all our panelists, and I'll just request Matt.
Thank you. Thank you for getting the ball rolling on how AI has helped something rather than just taken away from the table, and also, rolling with the punches coming in from the audience. It is time for a formal photograph and, of course, felicitation by Manisha from PKF. Photograph, please.
Correct.